Hello guys, welcome to Being Einstein. In the previous video we have seen the ratios. In this video we will see the proportions. So what do you mean by proportions? Let us assume you have two ratios given. Let's take the ratios as A is to B and C is to D. When I say that the two ratios are in proportion, it actually means that the first ratio is equal to the second ratio, which is mean by this is the first ratio and this is the second ratio. According to the sentence I have spoken, A is to B equals to C is to D when the two ratios are in proportion. Proportion signifies nothing but equality of ratios. We can also say that proportion is equals to ratios equality. So the proportions it also means as if these two ratios are in proportion, then A is the first proportion, B is the second proportion, C is the third proportion and D is the fourth proportion. Let me show you how to write the proportions. The proportion like this: if A, the ratio of the first ratio is equal to the second ratio, then how to write the proportion? A is to B, this is a proportion sign, double semicolon, C is to D. Now let's see the terms used in proportions. The terms: if A is to B, this is the first ratio which is proportional to C is to D, then this A and D are called as extremes and B and C are called as means. And there is a property of this: the product of extremes is equal to product of means, which is A into D is equal to B into C, which can be written as, if the ratio A and B equals to C and D, then we can assume that this is R in the ratios A into D. Now let's take an example of the proportions. The question is, if 1 is to 2 and 3 is to x are in proportions, then find the value of x. This means that 1 is to 2 is equals to 3 is to x. Then what will the value of x? Or you can write this as 1 is to 2 is in the proportion 3 is to x. How to solve this problem? 1 is to 2 is equals to 3 is to x, because these both ratios are in proportions, that's why equal sign is given. And if we cross multiply this both, 1 multiplied by x equals to 3 multiplied by 2, then the value of x will be 6. Now let's take another example of proportions. The cost of 4 apples is ₹20. What is the cost of 6 apples? So here two things are given in these questions: number of apples and cost. The ratios of number of apples, we can write these ratios in two parts. The ratios of number of apples to the cost of apples. So the ratios of number of apples, here quantity is given 4 and quantity is 6, and another the cost of apples, which is 20. If 4 apples is taken, the cost of 4 apples will be 20. Then cost of 6 apples will be x. Then by doing cross multiplications, we will get the answer. 4 multiplied by x equals to 20 multiplied by 6. So here x equals to 20 multiplied by 6 divided by 4. The value will be 30. So here the cost of 6 apples is rupees 30.